Hello, my friends. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Lauren, and I'm the owner and artist behind the small stationery brand LA Florals. And that is my shop where basically I just hand draw cute little characters, cottagecore sticker sheets, and stationery, that kind of thing. But today I wanted to share something super duper exciting, which is a little Phoenix art supply haul. I am so excited, and when they reached out to me and wanted to have me test a few things and see how it goes and create some content, I was literally like shaking. I was over the moon that this is something that I got to do and that I get to share with you guys. So I really hope you guys like this video, and let's start the unboxing. Okay, first things first, I'm going to clear off my desk a little bit and get the biggest thing out of the way, which is this big giant watercolor canvas. I have never done any sort of painting, like a watercolor painting on canvas before. I am so like, you know that feeling of like when you're about to do something and you're scared, like whenever you're about to place a sticker and you maybe feel scared to like put it down and use it up. Like that's how I feel about this. Like I don't want to waste this. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one, and I'm just going to stick to my comfort zone of some flowers and maybe some books, that kind of vibe. And we're going to use these supplies on this first one, and I'm going to test it out and see how that goes. So that will be what we do after the unboxing. So that was the watercolor canvas. I'm so excited. It came in a pack of 4, so I have 3 more off to the side, and I'm so excited to use them. So this is their watercolor set, and it is their professional watercolor set. They have quite a few different options, and this was just the one that I chose to go with because it seemed really well-rounded. And because I use watercolors literally professionally, I do custom paintings, I use them for my sticker sheets, I'll scan my paintings in and blah, blah, blah. I want to make sure that I'm using watercolors that are very highly pigmented and are meant to last. So I went with the professional palette, but they do have lots of different options. I was really eyeballing. They have a beautiful travel set, and it has so many wonderful colors. So that will probably be my next purchase. All of this stuff was very kindly gifted from Phoenix, and I am just over the moon that this is something that I get to do. Like, I know I sound like I'm fangirling, but that's because literally I am. Like, every single time like a birthday would roll around, or you know, that kind of thing, when I was little, my parents would always take me to like the big craft stores and like just kind of give me a little shopping spree as my birthday gifts. And I know for a fact I have been using Phoenix supplies forever, and now the fact that I get to work with them is literally just a dream come true. I feel like I'm dreaming. Anyway, I will stop rambling now, but this palette and this tin is just beautiful. I love all of the different wells that we have for paint mixing. I love that these are actually like, this is the kind of palette where if you pinch these in, it will actually keep your pans inside and separated. So if your palette ever, you know, if you put it in your bag and it gets upside down or whatever, your paint pans are actually going to stay in place. And every single paint pan themselves are beautifully wrapped individually and everything. So this will take me just a second to unbox all of those. So I will do that in just a second, and I'll do a time lapse for that. That way it's not too loud or too crinkly. So let me go ahead and put a pause on this, and we'll talk about this next one. So this next product are their water-soluble oil paint sticks. So this is a little bit out of my comfort zone, I'm not gonna lie. I have always wanted to use oil paints. Like, that has been like my big goal to learn, and oh my gosh. Like, even just this sample that they have on the packaging, I love the texture that oil paints bring, and I think that that's something that I'm missing with my watercolor work. And so when they offered to send me these, I was like, yes. And because another reason why is because they're also water soluble, so I can get more of like the gradient effect with them. And I think that this is just such a happy beginner way for me to get more into the oil painting, like the texture and the chunkiness of the artwork, but I can still have my little comfort zone of treating it kind of more like watercolors. So, oh my gosh, I am so excited. I'm not gonna lie, I'm very nervous to dig into this though, because like, I don't want to use it up wrong and then mess up. Like, my perfectionism is definitely out to play today. That's beautiful. They are honestly massive. I did not see that coming. And we have a beautiful Phoenix palette knife as well. I love it. I'm very glad. I don't think I have any actually because I don't oil paint. So I'm very glad that that is included. I cannot get over how big these are. Like, so when I saw them originally online, I definitely thought they were going to be so much smaller. Like, this is amazing. That is huge. Oh, I am so excited. And even just from this, I can tell that they feel very creamy. Oh my gosh. Okay, so my game plan, now that we've kind of seen everything, I'm going to put you on a time lapse and I'm going to go ahead and open all of these products. And then what we will do is we're going to use our watercolor canvas and we're going to be sampling these out. Oh, I'm so excited. All right, let's get into this. Okay, it is voiceover Lauren, and it's time for me to explain my process. So this is a plate from my great grandma, and it's been passed down quite a few times. And in the start of 2020, no, it was late 2023. We moved into their house and everything, and this plate was left in the cabinets, and I really loved the shape of it. And for this canvas, I knew I kind of wanted like a frame-y type of shape, but I didn't want to go like all out picture frame vibe. So I used the shape of this plate as a trace to get the shape. And it just feels really special because that green cup on the side is actually my other great grandma's teacup. It definitely has lead in it, so I can't drink out of it anymore. So I do use it with my paintings just as a way to, I don't know, bring her back every once in a while. But anyway, so here is a little bit of the painting. I initially went in with the yellow of the oil soluble crayon or oil stick, and it just was too yellow, and I didn't want to worry about having to mix that much like bronzy yellow of the oil sticks. Like, I guess I'm stingy. I didn't want to waste that much. So I went in with the black oil soluble stick and I did that for the frame. And then I also supplemented it with black watercolor from the professional palette. And then here is my little bottle. I used the another of the oil stick for this, and I love that it was like a little bit more abstracty and not as sharp or in focus. I just love it. I think that is such a good, I don't know, tool to use in your paintings. And now I'm going over it with just a wet brush. I don't have any watercolor pigment on the brush at this point. This is just what the oil soluble stick does. Oh, beautiful. Absolutely love it. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my oil stick as kind of like a more quote unquote like traditional means by mixing the colors on the little wax paper it came with in the tin. And then I'm using my palette knife to create some shapes and stuff. I have never done this in my life, but this was so much fun. I absolutely love the pop of texture this gives. And for the red one, I was going for more of like a chrysanthemum or a marigold type of flower where it has lots of different pieces poking out in all different directions. And then for the deep, like blue black flower, I was more so going for like the center of a poppy almost. And then I'm just going to do some abstract leaves and like petals and that kind of thing. Really, this whole painting was just about trying something new for me and letting myself be more abstract. And I'm really proud of myself, honestly, because I feel like I did accomplish that. That is not something that I would typically do in my everyday art style or anything like that. And so the fact that it feels like I achieved that in this painting was just such a success to me. I'm very, very proud of that. So here I am. I added a few like leaves and botanicals coming out of it a little bit. And I love the way that this canvas like held onto the water so much that it was allowing everything to like blur together and bleed together and bloom. Again, it's just one of those things that like I never let myself lose control like that in my normal everyday paintings. And the fact that this canvas made that happen in such a beautiful way, I just love it. I'm so proud. Okay, so anyway, back to it. So I'm adding in some more leaves, and what I'm doing is I'm adding some where I know that they will bloom out with the watercolor that I've already done, just to get even more of that suggestion of it kind of all mixing together and that kind of thing. And then I'm also adding some where there has not been any water or anything, so they're going to be a little bit more rigid and have more structure. So I tried to find that balance in that way. And now here I mixed up basically like a darker color of the bottle, and I was just adding some shadows, some more dimension to it. And now here we get to the background. Oh, this setup was so much fun. So I chose to go with a very diluted, kind of like that rusty color on the right hand side. Let's see, it is the fourth one up from the left, bottom left, and that is the color I chose to go for. And I just mixed it with a ton of water because I just wanted a nice soft touch. And basically the same thing happened when I was doing my paintings. If there was anywhere that was wet, it would bloom. And I think this was just such a beautiful, like, just touch and reminder that this is watercolor. At the end of the day, it's going to do what it wants to do. I can only suggest for it to do things. It'll do what it wants. But yeah, jokes aside, I'm very, very happy with how this came out. I love the touch of it blooming out, and uh, I'm just, I mean, I've said it like 3 times now, but like, I really am proud of this. As a sticker sheet artist, I don't really get to do big pieces like this all that often, unless I'm doing, like a custom house portrait or, something along those lines. But that's a very specific thing. Like, it's not something I get to be creative with. That's something where I look at their reference image of the house and I paint it. It's not something where I get to pull things out of my own brain and play with the style and that kind of thing. So I love the fact that this canvas and this entire project really allowed me to have that freedom of expression. For the background outside of the frame, I decided to go with kind of a gradient. So in the top left hand corner, I have yellow, and then that kind of bled into like a brownish greenish, and then that bled into a purple. And I replicated that entire process for this entire background of the painting. And then I decided that the actual like wood shelf it was on was just a little bit too rigid. So I went back in with a little bit of water and just kind of made it a little bit more messy. Okay, and now here is the final product. I really, really hope that you loved this project, and thank you so much for watching. And a big, big thank you to Phoenix for gifting me these lovely art supplies. These are absolutely new favorites, and I will have all of the supplies linked down below.